Yeah, that's nice.
What's up everybody, it's REV J. If you've been following my build at all, you'll notice that I'm using a 71-72 style front clip on my 66 C10, which is great, like I said, for power steering, power brakes, disc brakes, etc. Well, I've been having some problems with the front suspension, a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of a movement, vibration if you will, in the front end. Naturally, you go through all the obvious things, wiggle the wheel, check the tie rods, and on and on. Now in my case, it actually came down to the Pitman arm, which in some people's vehicles doesn't wear out, but on these, it does have a sort of ball joint on the end of it, like many do, and that can eventually wear out. The drag link itself, the center link itself, does not have any wear components, it's just a piece of metal. So what we need to do is get the truck up in the air and go through the procedure of taking the Pitman arm off. It's fairly straightforward. It's a matter of just disconnecting a lot of the suspension components to get access. The only real special tools you'll need are the Pitman arm puller and preferably a torch, and I believe it is an 1¼ or an 1/16 socket. I'll let you guys know when I get to that portion of the video. But other than that, it's pretty much straightforward. We're going to get the truck up in the air and start to work.
To make everything easier, I'm hitting all the surfaces with penetrating oil. I'm starting at the center link, so I can remove the cotter pin and pull the nut off. Then we went ahead and loosened and disconnected the drag link. The tie rod also needs to be loosened up at the adjuster, and then it can be removed from the steering knuckle with a pickle fork. With all that done, I can use the pickle fork to pop the center link off the Pitman arm. Now comes the fun part, removing the nut off the Pitman arm and physically sliding the Pitman arm off the splines. It really helps to have the correct size socket, a breaker bar, and sometimes even an extra set of hands. Once the nut's off, you can use the Pitman arm puller to pull the shaft off the splines. Sometimes these parts haven't moved in a while, so the cautious use of heat and lubricating oil is a good idea. Then it's just a matter of tightening the puller until the arm pops off the steering box. There's a keyed flat spot for reference on the splines, but it's not a bad idea to count the splines locked. You can see how worn the old arm was. And now I can reinstall the new arm using the nut and washer. Then it's the reverse order of reinstalling the drag link, the tie rod ends, and the center link connection. With everything in place, I can torque all the nuts down to spec. Followed by putting the grease fitting in the Pitman arm and installing all the cotter pins. And here is the new Pitman arm sitting in place. Just a note guys, either go buy a Pitman arm puller or rent one. Don't try to use the cheap pulley pullers you get from some of the hardware stores. You can use these for power steering, you can use these for steering wheels in some cases, but they will not pull a Pitman arm off, they will break.
So the Pitman arm is in, and what you guys didn't see after we stopped filming was that we went ahead and put new grease boots on the tie rod ends because they were looking a little worn. We went and re-greased all that up. We had everything torqued down to torque spec, or tightened down to torque spec I should say, and we took the truck for an alignment. Now, when it came back from the alignment shop, it was a completely transformed vehicle. when you think about the combination of the new Pitman arm, the new grease boots, torquing and tightening everything back down to spec, the alignment, and on top of that, adding the steering shaft stabilizer I showed you guys in the previous video, when you add all that up with a good alignment, it just changed the truck. It goes down the road a lot smoother, it handles a lot smoother, it has a little less bump steer, it's a little less crazy, you know, in terms of all over, like in construction areas and stuff like that. So it's a lot of little things that went together to make one huge difference. I'm super happy with the way it turned out. And if you guys are having any slop in your steering system, you know, it's definitely a tendency to write it off as just kind of the old Chevy steering box. But, you know, if it's not your steering box, take a look at your Pitman arm, take a look at your center link, take a look at your drag link, take a look at all those little pieces, because they really do add up to a big difference. And get a good alignment guy. If you don't have one, find one. Find somebody who does customs or old cars or whatever, and somebody you can trust, especially if you have to leave your vehicle there, and pay them to do, you know, the top of the line alignment. It is absolutely worth it. It saves tires. It makes your front suspension work better. You know, you'll really be surprised with the way a lot of that stuff can change the ride. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching me here on REV J. If there's anything you want to see, drop it in the comments, send me an email, whatever. We'll see you next time, guys.